Good morning. I'm called Olong Benadament. I'm going to be talking to you today about breaking bad news. So, for instance, if you have to deliver a message to someone and you know that maybe the message is not a good one, and then you want to deliver the message, so how do you do it? Because when you're breaking bad news, when it's not done properly, first of all, it causes mistrust. And when it's also not done properly, it can cause confusion and anger. But when it's done well, there's usually trust at the end of the day. So what are the key steps that you have to follow when you're breaking bad news? So the first thing that you have to do when you're breaking bad news is that you should look at the setting. First of all, the place that you're going to deliver the bad news has to be quiet. That's one. And then you have to allow enough time when you're breaking the bad news. Because, for instance, if you want to break the bad news to the person in this particular place where I am, you have to make sure that there is no distraction. Something that would, if at all there is noise, you have to make sure that you eliminate the noise. And then the second thing that you have to look at is the perception. So you have to at least understand if the person at least is suspecting something, or you should check the person's understanding. If the person already knows about the situation, or if the person at least has some idea about what, for instance, you're going to talk to him or her about. That is also very key in this case. And then you also have to inquire if the person wants to know everything, all the details. It's also very key. And then the next thing you can look at is the invitation. So if for instance you have to ask the person how much do they already know, like if maybe they have lost a loved one, you can inquire from them if they know something about the situation. And then of course now you have to check on the next thing you should do. You have to check on their knowledge. Like you have to give information using languages that they can understand. Like you have to avoid jargons. Of course, when you're telling them this news, you have to avoid things that are going to make it a bit tricky for them to understand. Then the next thing you can do is emotions. So you should at least you should use empathetic responses. If you can say, I know this is a lot for you to take in, and then maybe they'll say, yeah, it's actually a lot for me to take in. So you should use words that are really, that are quite good for them, like words that can calm them down. Then another thing is strategies. So you can, at the end of the day, you can summarize what the discussion was about, and then you can of course get to outline steps on how maybe steps and options or supports that is maybe, for instance, available for them. And then the next thing that is also important are the key communication tips. Because when you're breaking bad news, for instance, the information has to be direct. You cannot give information that is, for instance, not direct. You can give information that is very clear and direct to the person. If you want to tell someone something, tell them something that seems not a bit twisted, but give them the information that is clear for them to understand. Then of course you avoid false reassurance. Don't tell them things that are not possible. At least tell them things that you believe is actually possible, like to happen. Then you watch the non-verbal eye contacts. So it's better to use open postures in this case, and at least pause and listen to what they have to say. When you're communicating to them, they say that silent isn't failure. So speak and then keep quiet for a minute and then listen to what their reactions is going to be in this case. And then we also have some common mistakes that we always do when we are breaking bad news. The first thing is being over emotional. So as a person who is breaking bad news to this person, you do not have to be too emotional, because it's obvious that the patient at some point, that the person you're delivering the news to might break down at some point. But you, as the person who is delivering the information, you don't have to be over emotional, because when you do that and the person you're breaking the news to is also emotional on the other hand, you realize that both of you would all break down. So you, as the person who is delivering the message, you have to be strong enough. And then also rushing through the news is one thing you should avoid. So you have to deliver the news within time. Don't rush over it. And then of course, overloading the person with too much information, that is also not very good when you're delivering the news. Thank you so much. So that is what I had for you today.